Good morning, viewers across the Caribbean, in Trinidad and Tobago, Dominica, Curacao. If you're watching from Amplia 102, welcome to Book Club Corner. And my name is Jewel Green. I'm your host of Book Club Corner, where every Wednesday we chat with local authors, publishing industry stakeholders about the literary arts, their love of the written word, and books are favorite things, right? So we're so happy to have you here with us today because we have a great author with us. Amazing. She is none other than Miss Eutille Duncan. Welcome, Eutille.
Hi, Joelle. Happy to be here.
I'm so glad to have you, finally. Listen, guys, Eutille has a list of accolades. She is a self-published author. She is the author of the book God and the Ordinary Mother, Divisions, In a Fine Castle, Woman to Woman. And she is the founder of Eutille Duncan Publishing. And she also has a Bachelor of Arts in History. I do my research, Eutille. You can close your mouth now. I know all your business. Eutille wondering how this girl find out all my business. Yeah, that's how we do it here. We want to showcase the authors in their full glory. So I really dig deep when I do my author interviews because we want to know all about you, right? We like to share all the things that make an author interesting, your journey. How did you get here? What are you doing? You know, all of those things. People want to know, and we're here to make sure they find out, right? So no information is safe. I mean, we don't tell all your dark secrets, but we do make sure we share. We do make sure we share your information with the public. And you all know how we do it here on Book Club Corner. We have some drinks, we read, we chat. No different today. We have this amazing wine from Luke Lashley in Trinidad. He sent up these wines last week. Luke, thank you so much for sponsoring these wines. On Book Club Corner, we love to support local, right? And we love to support the local wine industry. These wines would be comparable with wines from outside of Trinidad and Tobago and outside of the region. When we really look at it, we have to invest in ourselves. We have to invest in our region, in our products, by buying them, by giving feedback, by loving on ourselves. And that is the way we are going to support, promote, and expand our own products. So, Luke Lashley, thank you for this wine. It's called Blooming Bliss. And this is a dry wine. And because I have somebody new with me today, because I had some of it last week and it was fantastic, I'm still going to do some wine tasting, right? We're still going to do the 5 S's of wine tasting today. Even though Eutille is drinking water, right? Eutille say, I'm not jumping on that table today. You will not make me get on that table and sing the blues. So I am drinking water. I'll drink wine after. So we'll have some wine after, right?
Yes,
Eutille?
we will.
So cheers to you for being here on Book Club Corner. Sitting here with us. We're so happy. But this wine we have from Luke Lashley, listen, the 5 S's of wine tasting is to see the wine. You first look at it. You're looking at the clarity. And then you swirl the wine because you want to see the legs. Is it dry? Is it medium? Is it sweet? And this wine, thankfully, is a medium to dry wine, which is my preference for wines. But I like sweet wines too, especially when they have a high percentage, right? We don't want to waste some money. If you're going to buy wines, let's buy wine, right?
Yes.
And then we sniff the wine. And we're looking for particular notes. If we're smelling fruits and flowers and roots, spices, we're looking to see what they put in here, right? Because in the Caribbean, we all about the seasoning. We all about the different blends. And this one has some nuttiness to it, as I said, even last week. Still getting that nuttiness when you aerate it. Really nice. And then the best part, we take a sip and we savor. Some good wine. There's some good wine, Luke Lashley. You hit the nail on the head. Guys, for Christmas, get your glass of Luke Lashley's wine. It's called LLW. And this wine is out of Trinidad. But you know, we're Trinidad and Tobago. So very soon, right? Right, Luke? Wink, wink. You're going to get wines all over Tobago from LLW. Yeah? We're going on a quick break. And when we come back, we'll continue chatting with Eutille Duncan, talking about her books. And what I am discovering about Eutille is that still waters run deep. So when we get back, we'll be getting into some of the work that Eutille has been getting into. Don't go far. Get your snack and come right back with us here on Book Club Corner. We'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back to Book Club Corner, where we are chatting with Miss Eutille Duncan, a self-published author and a publisher herself. She's a self-publishing author for other authors, and I think that's something amazing. Eutille, how
Yes.
many books have you yourself published out of your own work?
Okay, my own books, I have done 5 books, right? And in totality, for the independent publishing or self-publishing, as it's commonly known as, for others, I've done about 26. Yeah, including my work.
So you have contributed quite a legacy to the literature industry and to Caribbean literature.
Well, now that we think about it,
Yes.
I guess 26 is quite a round
Yeah,
number.
because I mean you're still quite young. So I'm expecting another 26 at least out of you. Right? So when you finish, you're gonna have quite a number of books under your belt as a self-publishing author and publishing house, right?
Yes, well, I am looking forward to giving as many Tobagonian authors first.
Yeah.
No offense to the others, but
Yes.
Tobagonians first. And the wider Caribbean a voice. Because you don't want others telling your story.
Yeah.
You want to tell your own story in your own way.
Yes.
That reflects your truth. You understand?
And in your own time.
In your own time.
Yeah, because you don't want to be rushed when you're telling these stories.
No, a good story is never rushed.
I love that one. We get into teachable moments already from YouTube people. Listen, when I look at your book covers, right? We have, for instance, God and the Ordinary Mother, right? We have this In the Millie. We have Woman to Woman. We have quite a number of books from you. When I look at the covers, they are so unique to me. I'm looking at them and, you know, you can't mistake it for another book anywhere else. Tell us what in your mind was your motivation, one, for writing and for doing such original book covers.
Well, first, I was motivated to write by my mother. Yeah, I started reading at a very young age. I would read anything I laid my hands on. You know, at the age of 4, I was already going through the Bible and reading it and starting to pull books here, there, and everywhere. And then I started writing little poems.
Yes.
And my mother's appreciation made me feel I was the greatest poet in the world. I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm Shakespeare. But you know, a mother's love, you know, and she encouraged the poetry writing till eventually got to a place where I had stacks and stacks of poems.
Yes.
And she was like, you need to do something with these.
Let me ask you this, and I'll tell you why I'm asking when we talk about. Was your mother somebody who loved books herself? Was she a reader? I ask because, you know, sometimes to myself, I feel like you don't have to be a reader to encourage your children to read or even to encourage them to love books. You know what I mean? Because when we look at the generations before, a lot of them couldn't afford books, you know, and libraries weren't always accessible. And I feel that a lot of them still encourage their children into, you know, you must read and get a book and read the book. take a book from the school library. So I always ask, because people will say, it feels as if it's only reading parents encourage reading children, and I don't think that's true.
No, it really isn't true, but in this regard, my mother was an avid reader.
Yes. What was her favorite?
Oh my goodness. She loved Dickens and she loves Shakespeare a lot.
Yes.
So she was a very avid reader, and seeing her reading all the time, there was more reading than TV watching in our home. So seeing her reading all the time encouraged us to read, all of us, myself and my siblings as well. It encouraged us to read.
You have this book called Woman to Woman, and she's on the cover of the book, and I always love that when people have a good relationship with their parents, well, we love that, but I always love when, children are able to talk about their parents and the way they were brought up. Good or bad, we have to be honest, right? Good or bad, whatever it was, but that we're able to, as adults, go back and excavate these things. Why did you decide to write a book that was focused on her?
Well, all the poems are not focused on her, but she was the one that encouraged me to compile the poems, because as I said previously, I just had them. I was writing and stockpiling. A book here, paper there, and and she was
that is what we all do. And we need to stop that.
Yes, and that is why I am persistently and consistently encouraging others to do that, because it's also a very freeing experience. I have had authors who have written, some of them at a very late age, and certain things that they would have gone through in their life, when they put it on paper, it freed them. I've had people say, I am now free of this. Because I have given it a voice. It no longer controls me. Because sometimes when we keep things inside, it tends to loom bigger than...
Not sometimes, all the time, all the time. Because you keep hearing it, that ruminant mind just keeps replaying. It's literally on loop, replay on loop, like on YouTube. And it just keeps playing in your mind, playing in your mind. And from the time you start, sharing it, it doesn't even sound that bad. It doesn't even sound that important. It doesn't even sound like it's something you should keep to yourself and keep, like, why do I talk about this all the time?
Yeah, that's the truth.
Why do I have to remember this all the time? I have other good experiences in my life. Let me think about that. You know?
That's the truth. So it's a way of people, as some people say, it's their therapy. It's their therapy.
Listen, people, writing is cathartic. It really does help you. Journaling as well. Even if you don't want to be an author, but you have a story. You may be journaling your life, journaling as you go along. And I think that's one of the things that can work as therapy as well, in terms of, that cathartic exercise to get it out. What I love about this book that you talked about, Woman to Woman, is that you named the book Woman to Woman because it was because of your mother's encouragement. And the name of the book is not... mother to daughter. It's not mother to child. It's not... You were an adult by that time, and the name of the book to me reflects where your relationship was with her at that time. And an adult to an adult, woman to woman.
And sometimes because I have a daughter myself, and I've also been instrumental in assisting my brother raise his 2 kids. And sometimes as parents, we get to the place of not knowing when the relationship has changed. And I was fortunate. Okay?
You had a great mother.
Yes, I did.
I love that, yo. It's so nice when your parents can recognize the transition without you having to beg for it.
Yeah,
You know,
because
you'll always be my baby, yes, but I'm an adult. How
I'm
about,
not
yeah,
exactly,
let's do that
exactly.
and free me to be able to be who I am at this stage, rather than every time I meet you, I have to assume this childlike position with you.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
relationship does change. You
And
understand? And
beautifully so.
yes, and it's wonderful when you can experience your parents as friends.
As adults. Yeah, you no longer have to say, I remember when I used to make me open my door and keep it open. We couldn't lock a door in the house and you beat me. You know, okay, we passed that. Yeah, we passed
We
that.
can now be friends and we can now relate. And you know, this is something that I also strive for as a parent.
Yeah.
To see when the child is transitioning.
Do you find that balance hard? That balance of parent, child, mother, daughter, female to female, and soon woman to woman. Yeah.
Not really, you know.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable.
I love that.
It's enjoyable. I enjoy the stages and the changes that take place. You know, because I had it with my niece who is now a young adult.
Yes.
You know, and it was beautiful watching her grow and having our relationship become something different. It was beautiful seeing it from the other end, and I'm looking forward to it with my own daughter, you know, as she gets to that stage. She's still pretty young,
Yeah.
you know.
Still waters run deep, Eutille. Oh my God. Listen, guys, let me tell you something, right? I had a time getting Eutille here. Eutille, should we tell all your business? I had a time getting Eutille here. I had to beg and convince Eutille. It's just me and you. Nobody watching you. Nobody minding your business. Well, yeah, we minding your business. But you know what I mean? Eutille, come and tell us about it. Eutille say, I will think about it. Let me see. So I'm very glad to have you here with me today. Very grateful.
Joel, it was no reflection on yourself.
I did not feel that way. Yeah.
It's just that I am, how should I say, introverted.
As many of us are as authors and writers, you know, it's I think that's one of the things that makes us good writers. An introvert looks a lot inward. And because of that, we're able to get more out of ourselves to put on the paper.
That's true.
Yeah.
But also, I like to look at the persons and the culture around me.
Yeah.
You know, because Indie Melly is a reflection of that.
Yeah.
The culture around me.
Listen, when you showed me this book and I saw the cover, right, Indie Melly, I said, this is a lot going on, but I like it. It does say Indie Melly.
Yes,
right?
Indie Melly.
So you couldn't possibly have a minimalist cover on this, and you're talking about the Malay, right? And, you know, for those of you who may not know, first of all, I'll do you what my mother used to do. Go and look it up. Right? I'm not telling you the meaning. Go and look it up. No, I'm going to tell you. So the Malay is really just a mix mash of all sorts of things. You know, it may look like confusion, but it's very eclectic. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, as we say, you know, in Trinidad and Tobago. A little Coskel here. Nothing really much and everything. But it's very meaningful because it's a little bit of here, a little bit of there. Things that meant something to you. And when we look at the cover of this book, I get this feeling that this is something that means something to you. Tell me about the cover. I'm going to show you guys.
Well,
Tell me about the cover of this book.
Was done by my then 6-year-old daughter. She's a bit older now. And my niece and I were putting together the book. And she came, what are you all doing? Can I help?
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure thing, because she loves art. She loves to draw, scribble, paint, whatever. I said, can you do some artwork for us to put on the cover here? And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
What do you want? I said, just beautiful things.
Yeah, she's an artist. You make to order. What do you want?
What do you want? I said, just beautiful things. Whatever grabs you, you know. And she already had a few pieces. She brought those. Do you like this?
Yes.
You know, and then she did some more. And I'm like, okay, I think we have enough now. We could put together a cover from this. And, you know, I sat on the computer with her. I didn't do it independently.
Yes.
And she told me what to put where.
Right.
You understand?
I really like that.
She told me what to put where, and we put it together.
This is a puzzle and activity book.
Yes, it is.
Listen, I love activity books. You take them places and you sit when people are making noise, running around the place, doing all sorts of, and you just do your stuff. This is a good book to travel with. This is a great, you know, flights, they're always delayed, late. You get to sit and do some work while you're waiting for your flight, while you're waiting in transit, while you're here doing something, right? You're at a workshop, and we love a good workshop. You're at a workshop doing some work, and you know, you just want a little minute to yourself. Activity book. I love this.
And all the puzzles and activities are locally based. There is nothing foreign in there.
Right, so like the references and
everything.
Listen, I was going through this book earlier, right? And on page 60, I think it was. Let me get it. Was it 60? Yes, it's 60. Page 60. Bush tea for your fever is a word search, right? And Eutille are looking at this book, especially this page 60, bush tea for your fever. And it has all the bush listed, right? And you have to look for it in this thing. But you know what Eutille did not do? Tell me what the bush for? If I take this bush, what is it going to do?
Well, we'll have to work on that in the melia too.
Listen, okay, dandelion, what is that good for?
Oh, well, I have heard that dandelion is good for pressure.
It is alleged.
It is alleged. No, we're not doctors.
Exactly. We're not
so
giving any advice. It is alleged.
Don't go and drink it on my say so.
All right, neither on book club say so, because we only dealing with books, not medication. Right. So okay, I'm gonna pick another one. St. John's Bush. Oh no, I've heard of that one.
Yes.
What about tarragon? What do you do with that one?
Well, I heard that's good for respiratory ailments.
Oh, okay.
You know, and it's also good for seasoning.
All of these are good for seasoning. That's one thing that I love about the Caribbean, is that our food is our medication. If you were to look at it like that, because you know you put shadow benny, garlic, you know, onion in your food, the basics, thyme and all of that. But when you start to really look at why we're doing it, it's not just for flavor, although let me tell you, yum. Good flavors in there, but it really does work to help you keep you in a good state of good physical condition.
Yes, it does.
Yes,
it does.
Okay, let me just put a caveat on that. If you eat all the food in your house in one day, no seasoning can help you, right? Yeah. You have to eat in moderation. You eat because you are hungry and because the food tastes good, but you do not eat simply to, you know, put food in your mouth, right? And this is we're coming up to Christmas, so all those who like a good nyamming are just saying, let's eat with moderation. So January, one of your resolutions is not going to be weight loss. Right? Yes. Yeah, so we're just saying. But this is a good book. Okay, one last one before we go on break. Wormgrass. Oh, I have never heard that one.
Exactly what it says.
For worms.
It's good for the women.
Guys, you heard it here. It is alleged.
It is alleged.
That dandelion is good for what?
Pressure.
Dandelion is alleged to be good for pressure.
Again?
Wormgrass is alleged to be good for worms. Tarragon is alleged to be good for respiratory. Get the activity book, right? And you see, if you had it home while we're on break, you could have been doing some activities because we're going for a quick break. I'll be drinking some wine though, but you could have been doing some activities in this activity book. We'll see you in a few minutes. Don't go far. And welcome back to Book Club Corner, where we are chatting with the illustrious, the amazing Eutille Duncan, a self-published author herself as well as a self-publishing house. And her publishing house is called Eutille Publishing. And she's here to talk to us about her books. Eutille, when we went to break, we were talking about, all sorts of little things and about how you publish and stuff like that. But tell us, how did you get into being a self-publishing author?
Well, one of the other terms is independent publisher.
Yes.
Right. And I got into it because I would have independently published a few of my books, with publishing houses abroad. And I realized that, one, they were generic. They didn't give you what you wanted. And two, they didn't have any appreciation for West Indian culture. Because I had an experience where one of the books was fully dialect, like right through.
Yes.
And they fixed the English.
So they understood the dialect then?
No, they didn't.
So how they fix
Exactly.
it? Oh boy.
So
oh boy.
That became problematic. So I had
Yes.
to redo the book and then tell them, well, please don't edit. And then they just didn't edit.
Yeah. And then that's hard because you need somebody who can edit your dialect.
Yes, so I'm like, this is foolishness. And then I'm there complaining to whoever would listen. One of those persons was Dr. Craig James, and she looked at me and she was like, Eutille, if you have a problem, you need to do it yourself. And I'm like, but I can't do it. And she was very stern, and she's like, I am of the belief that you can do this for yourself and for others because it is an issue.
Yes.
And I'm like, this lady telling me about I could do this and blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't being disrespectful at all to her. I didn't say that.
Yeah.
But I was thinking it. it. And then I heard other people with the same complaints. They're not pleased with what they got back. And I'm like, you know what, Eutille? You should think about it. So I said I would do it. But then I just said it.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And eventually, a good friend, he was the then president of the Writers Guild, Gregory Diaz.
Yes, I know Gregory.
Yes,
He's a good one. Hi, Gregory.
Yeah, Gregory was like, okay, so she only saying and she not doing.
Oh, gosh.
And he brought me a author and their book. And he's like, you're self-publishing it?
Yes.
And I was like, what Gregory doing?
Yeah, he going around telling people, you're not ready.
Yeah, and I'm like thinking, I'm not ready. I do. And he just threw me in, and I always call him a fire starter.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, he threw me in and, once I started, that was it. And I'm like,
How did you find that initial process of publishing somebody's book? How was that for you?
Well,
was there a big learning curve?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I made some mistakes because first of all, I didn't know where to get it printed.
Right.
After I'd done it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how are we going to get this printed affordably? Because, most printing houses, they really want to do like large batches. Otherwise, it's not profitable for them.
Yeah.
And you can't fault them for that. But then sometimes the author is faced with several dilemmas because where you're going to store 1,000 books, 500 books, where you're going to put them?
In your warehouse, not in your backyard.
Right. And then there's also the problem of affordability. Can you afford to print all those books at once?
Yep.
So it's like, what do we do? And I discovered on-demand printing through Amazon.
Yeah.
And I eventually started using them to do printing on demand for the authors. And that simply means if you want one book, you get one book. If you want 1,000 books, you get 1,000 books. It's what you want and what you can accommodate at that point in time. So you don't feel pressured, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I love that we're talking about on-demand printing, because just to give clarity to the public, on-demand printing, as Eutille rightfully said, is if you just want one book printed. If you don't need 1,000 books right now, you need 2 books. You know, most of my books are ebooks, but I just want 2 or 3 books to be able to have for display, to read and stuff. And a lot of publishers and printers did not have the printer that does the on-demand copy. It's not that they didn't want to do it, but if you have a printer that is going to be, it's an industrial printer, right? What happens is that you have to put in a batch number. And when you put in that batch number, it will print 1,000 books, 2,000 books. These printers are big, they're huge, right? They're taking up whole rooms. But the on-demand printer, from my research, it can literally be as big as, let me see what would be a good size. A small car, where you can just order 1 book. So they literally can print 1 book for you. Because when they're printing the book, these printers, they print the inside of the book. They print the covers of the book, whether it's hardcover, whether it's soft cover. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's not simply that, you know, they don't want to print your 1 book because they bad mind, right?
No, it's just not profitable.
Yeah, exactly. But now what we're finding, even in the Caribbean, they're now able to print a 1 book or 2 book. It's just that it may be a little more expensive, right? But you can get a 1 book printed very quickly. Right here in Trinidad and Tobago. In Trinidad, I found them. So just putting it out there, Amazon does it at a good rate. But if you are looking to support local and you can afford to, you know, absorb the cost if it's not as cheap as Amazon, remember that you can get 1 book printed, very small, what they call no minimum level printing, right? Meaning you don't have to have a certain number before you can order your books, right? And is this what your authors usually want? They just want a small batch of books?
Most people want a small batch of books because, as I mentioned earlier, most people don't have the storage. They don't have the means. Yes, bookstores will take some of your books, but I have realized, which is another thing that we're trying to work on. It's not accomplished as yet, so I wouldn't say too much. But most bookstores sell school books.
Yeah.
Right? And they would give the local author a little space, a shelf here, a shelf there, because it's what they can accommodate.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, if you bring in 500 books, you have to hold the rest because they don't have space on the shelves for you. So the ideal is to have a store that's, you know, catering to that.
A big store that can really take that number of books.
That number of books.
We don't have a lot of big stores in Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of the stores are on the smaller side, and they take, you know, in batches. So they might take 5 copies from this one or 10 copies from that one, and so on, because they need the books to be sold.
Exactly. And it's also not bad mind. It's just what can be accommodated.
Yeah. You know, I was talking to a few authors the other day, and one was saying, you know, I went to this bookstore, and before I could open my mouth, they said, we don't take local books, right? And I said, you know, it's disheartening when that's what you hear, but let us be honest with ourselves. A lot of authors, local authors, aren't doing enough to market their book. You leave your book on the people's shelves, right? And you behave as if they are a warehouse for you, a storehouse. You put your book on the shelf and you disappear. They can't find you. They don't know where you are. They call in your phone, you won't answer. They send in your emails up the wazoo and no response. And nobody knows what's happening with your book. They don't know if you're doing any marketing. They don't know if you're pushing the book. They don't know what's going on, right? So a lot of them got burnt by local authors who aren't pushing their books because, let us be honest again, the self-publishing industry or the independent publishing industry, it is very difficult to add on to that the marketing for the book. So you get the publishing, but the marketing isn't coming on board.
And that's where people like you come in, Jill.
I like to be the one to tell people business, not the other way around. No, but yeah, you're right. And thank you for that plug. But we need to be able to match skill sets, right?
Yes.
You publish books, you have authors who, after they've published, need their books to be marketed, and here I am.
Exactly.
Right? And part of it is coming on a show like this to tell people about your book.
Yes, it is. And I believe that Tobago is a small enough community of authors that we can all work together, and push each other.
Yeah.
So whoever has whatever skill in whatever area, come on. And don't think it's a competition, because I have discovered in working with quite a number of authors now that I'm thinking about it. Nobody writes the same. Even if you have a book of poetry, your poems are not going to be like my poems. You may speak about the same topic, but it's not going to come from the same place, because all of our experiences are individual. Okay? It's a universal theme, but individual experiences. So there's no need to feel, oh my gosh, it's a competition, so I shouldn't have. No. Let us help each other and move forward as a whole genre. Okay?
Yes.
Let us help each other.
What you're saying is so key, Eutille. We in the Caribbean, the different islands, because we're in smaller spaces, a lot of times we see each other as the enemy, as the competition, right? And, no, don't tell them what we do. Don't tell them how we got there. Don't tell them about the scholarships, and don't tell them about this.
No.
Listen, and a friend of mine said to me one day, I was falling into that little crevice of, oh gosh, they're gonna do what I'm doing. And he said, listen, please, you could give people the ingredients. They don't know the recipe.
No.
He said, listen, share the ingredients. What you put in your, how do you do what you do? They still have to figure out their own recipe.
Exactly, because
and it's going to look different than what you've been doing.
Yes, at the end of the day, remember, we are individuals.
Yeah.
And I would tell all the authors that I deal with, you are an individual. Your voice needs to be heard. Never mind you think somebody spoke about this already. They would not speak to the person that you would speak to. Because remember, everybody also receives differently. So, my take on child abuse might speak to one person. Somebody else's take on it would speak to someone else.
Yeah.
And that way now, you get to deal with the issue.
Yes.
Don't silence your voice because Harry spoke about it.
Yeah. You're so right. Because sometimes we feel, this has been spoken about already. And I always say, listen, at no time in history is everybody the same age, at the same level of development and awareness. Even as history is going along, even as the day is going along, people are becoming aware, less aware, more aware. People are learning more about themselves, understanding, as they say in, Alice in Wonderland, let me introduce myself. I'm different than I was this morning. I'm a completely different person, right? Who I was this morning is not who I am now.
Exactly.
A message may have come to you, or some information came to you this morning when you can receive it. And here you are this afternoon hearing that same message. Well, so people think, but we tell her the same thing this morning.
No,
she getting on like
it's
the first time she hearing it. We tell the man the same thing. How he getting on like he never hear about it. This morning he wasn't hearing you.
And then it's also delivery, because I may not be able to deliver it in a way that you can receive.
Yes.
So I keep on stressing how important every voice is.
Yeah. Your story is so important. Listen, authors out there, writers out there, the message Eutille is bringing to us today, every story is important. And if you have a story you want to share, please do not stifle and stuff your story down. Please don't silence yourself because you're saying, somebody write poetry already. Somebody has written about this already, right? Your take on it may be so completely different. Stop hoarding the paper in your house, right? Write. It is a fire hazard. They're writing stories and stacking it up in a corner. Stop it. Get your book published. Call Eutille Publishing and get your local book published, right? Listen, we're going on a quick break, but when we come back, Eutille is going to be reading to us from one of her books. We're not going to tell you which one. You guess which book she's going to be reading from before we head into the green room. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Get your drink, get your snack, and come right back. We'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back again to Book Club Corner. We're chatting here with the illustrious, wonderful, amazing, I can't say enough about her, Eutille Duncan. She's going to be reading for us from one of her books. Eutille, what book are you going to be reading to us from?
Woman to Woman.
Fantastic! Let me get comfy. Get comfy, guys. If you have a drink, if you have your snack, put up your foot, you're on the couch, stretch out, get yourself organized. This is our best segment where we get read to and you could relax yourself. Eutille, are you ready?
As I've ever been.
Please take it away.
Okay, so this one is entitled Woman. So, who is doctor and lawyer now? Who sits in the parliament of the land? Remember when you could not vote? Not long ago you were not allowed in school. Is that you, scientist, anthropologist, historian? Are you the one whose brain was deemed small? Can it really be you, the weaker sex, running the household on your own? You have effectively broken the barriers down. Nothing shall keep you in your place. There is no mountain you cannot overcome. If it would not be climbed, level it. Look at you, beautiful serenity, not inflated by your own achievements, gently rocking your daughters to sleep. To the lullaby, strive and overcome. With or without man at your side, nursing the future at your breast, walking in dignity, but not pride. None can contain you, woman. Okay.
I have to sit in that for a second. Woman. Nothing can contain you. Where did you get that line from?
From seeing all the strong women around me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. She said, if you cannot climb it, level it. What a challenge. Have you found that that's something you have had to do in your life? If you can't climb it, I'm going to level it.
Once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
And being on the more petite side.
Let's speak on it, Shorty. Let's speak on it. Listen, Shorty to Shorty. Let's speak on it.
Yeah, being on the more petite side, people generally will assume that you cannot.
Yes.
And
you are sometimes lulled into the feeling that you cannot as well.
Yeah.
But you can.
But you can.
I love that. And I think it is my belief as a short person, as a vertically challenged person myself, sometimes because we're on the short side, we tend to be very innovative in how we get things done. Because we have to get it done, right? You can't sit and wait. I'll just wait for a tall person to come along, see if they can help. Or just wait for a strong person to come along. And they never come along, so what? It'll never get done?
It'll never get done.
Yeah. You need that gas tank change.
Mm-hmm.
Your gas in your house, your gas bottle finished, you got to get that change.
Yeah.
You got to drag that out.
Yes.
Figure out what's happening.
Yeah, you roll it.
All right then.
Listen,
let me tell you a story. My husband is a tall dude. I'm a short girl. And he loves to lock the windows at night and the little latch is quite a height up, right? I either had to get a stool, something to climb up on top of this to unlock this window. And I'm usually the first up because I'm a morning person. So I want to open up the windows, open up the house, and the place lock up. And I said to myself, well, I can't wait. I'm not going to wake him up this hour of the morning because I get up pretty earlier. I can't wake him up just to open a window. So I decided, the spoon, your pot spoon, have a little hole to the top. Right, so I get the long pot spoon, and I go up to that window, I tiptoe, and I take the thing, and I pull down that. You have to figure it out, and I think a lot of women understand that early. We can't sit and wait for somebody to come along.
Yeah.
That may never happen.
It may never happen, and then our history is rich because women had, people always talk about the rights that, slaves had to get and whatever. But think about it, as a black woman, you had to fight for the rights twice.
Yes.
You understand?
Definitely.
You had to fight for it twice because women were also deemed as not having large enough brains to make decisions.
How you used to feel, men, telling all yourself that and then still looking for a partner? All you used to feel smart. To say we're not that smart, but we're running the whole household.
This is
getting stuff done, right? Making the money meet at the end of the month. Let me tell you, sometimes I used to look around and I would see my mother after my father passed away. She would have to make the money make sense, and it was 3 of us. I mean, at the time, I didn't know she was doing all of that until she started to give me the mortgage to pay. I was in high school, but the mortgage company was in Port of Spain. And she put it in an envelope in the bottom of my bag. When you get to school, give it to the bursar. We had this office where you could hand in stuff that you didn't want to have on you all day. So if you had like a phone, well, they didn't have phone.
Yes.
I don't want to eat myself. But you would hand in whatever you didn't want to keep, whether it was money or something important. So I would get to school with this mortgage money, and it wasn't $2. I would give it to the bursar. And then after school, I'd go collect it and head down to the mortgage company. I think it was island-wide or nationwide. I think it was nationwide, one of those. And pay them. And that's when I realized, the value of what we were living in. I mean, she was giving me $2,000 a month to pay. Then I bounced up on her pay slip one day. And me. I open it up. The woman making little over $2,000 as a teacher. They weren't making money that time, and she was paying that mortgage. And I used to wonder how we eating.
Yeah, because she was doing other things. Because my mother, aside from her job,
give lessons and sell chow in the lessons. Listen, I'm trying to lick up the chow, and I used to be I wonder if she coming home with any trouble.
And that's how you learn to level your mountains. That's how you learn to level your mountains. You can't say, well, your salary is X and your bills are Y, and I just wouldn't pay it.
Yeah.
And then you and your children end up on the street.
Yeah. But we are not encouraging anybody to go out there and do illegality, okay?
No.
Write a book and sell the book. Write a book called Eutille, get it published, and sell your book. We're looking at ways to make money, revenue streams. How do we level mountains that are in front of us? And I really love that about what that poem talked about. And it didn't just talk about women. I mean, it ended there, but it talked about a lot of different people. What did that poem mean to you to talk about life in that way?
Oh my gosh. The multifaceted aspects of a life. To see where you have come from historically, as we know. I'm a student of history. I love it. And I believe that if you are not rooted, if you don't understand where you have come from, you never get anywhere. Because you're just there. You're just there. Who am I? What am I aiming for? And why am I aiming for it?
Yeah.
So your history helps to strengthen you. Okay?
Some existential questions for us today. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, people. What are you here for? What's your purpose? right? And have you met that purpose? Right? It's not just about what it is, but are you working to actively accomplish it? And if there is a mountain in front of you, as the Hindus say, Lord Hanuman, you have to bring him out and level it. Right? No, that's what they say. Lord Hanuman is the mountain mover. You know, we don't just say, oh, there's an obstacle and we stay there. We must be able to transmute it into something else. And I want to thank you for being able to bring that to us today as a self-publishing house, independent publisher. Get that work done. What I want us to talk about now is in the green room. We're heading to the green room to talk about what exactly happens. Right? We're going on a we were going on a quick break, but here we are. Insights for authors and publishers. And what is a book launch? We hear it all the time, but what is it? And it is a long-term strategy that includes promotions, activities, and connections made before the book's release. The goal is to generate interest and increase sales. A successful book launch strategy can include book tours, social media campaigns, email marketing, public relations, events, merchandise, and launch parties. So while we talk about what a book launch is, it's a series of events. And we want to thank Mansa Enterprises for their part sponsorship of the Green Room. And Mansa is a bookstore right here in Tobago in Calder Hall. A wee gal, as they say, right? Started by Tamika, my good friend, and they sell a lot of local books. It's not just a bookstore for textbooks, school books, stationery. They literally keep local books in stock. And if you go to Mansa and spend $500 or more, they are giving you back $150 worth of a voucher to be able to go in the store and pick up anything you want worth $150. So thank you very much for that, Mansa. As well, we're talking about an author directory in the Caribbean. If you are an author in the Caribbean or in the diaspora, please know that there is an author directory coming out soon, and it is being done by Caribbean Book Marketing Hub, TT. And what we're doing is to make sure that authors have a space where, should the public want to find you or your book, there is literally a directory, just like there is the phone directory for authors, right? So we're putting together this directory for all authors in the Caribbean and diaspora. So if that's you, go to the Caribbean Book Marketing Hub TT page on Facebook or Instagram and fill out that form so we can get your information and add you to the directory. It will be coming out very soon. And as we were talking about book launches, because you have a number of authors in the publishing house who you have done work for, how do you all approach book launches?
Well, that depends on the individual author. You know, some persons like a small launch or, you know, something intimate, you know, you just, a few friends, you invite them over, you let them know, well, I've done this. And some people like a splash.
Yes.
You know, so
I can imagine.
Just like each book is personal,
Yes.
each launch is reflective of the author.
Definitely.
So it's whatever you want, and we work towards it.
You know, I have to add to that, when we were looking at what a book launch is, it really is a long-term strategy. I've noticed a lot of authors think it is this one-day event, right? It's this thing we're going to do, we're going to have like a christening, right? We're going to invite people, we're going to have drinks, we're going to have eats, we're going to share about my book, and they're going to buy it. And Eutille did like this. Because it's true. That's what I think. But you know different, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen automatically. So just letting you all know, for the authors out there, if you have a book coming out, right, you don't just plan an event like, you know, as if it's a christening for your book. And say, we're going to have some little event, people are going to come, they're going to see my book, love it, and buy it. It is preceded by a few events. So coming here on Book Club Corner, going to other media outlets, talking about your book on the radio, having book signings at different bookstores, doing different promotional, before the book comes out, before that published date, before, so that you can make the public aware, you can gain visibility for your book, and then have the launch, because a launch is all about book sales, and nobody's buying a product they don't know about.
They don't know about.
So they first have to know your book exists. So it takes a bit of work, which as introverts mainly, we have a few ambiverts like myself in the, in the book and literature industry, but it takes a bit of work. So you're going to have to come out there, right? You're going to have to polish up that face, dust off your outfits, and get out there, right? It's, it's not something where, I know they're doing faceless reels now, but it's something you really have to pay attention to and do, even if you get somebody to do it for you in terms of being the face of your book and of your marketing. So just throwing it out there. We've been here sitting and chatting with the amazing, the wonderful, right? Eutille Duncan, the mountain leveler. Eutille Duncan, right? She's here laughing, but I'm so serious. We've been here chatting with her about her books. She has 4 books. Woman to Woman is one of them. We have God and the Ordinary Woman. We have an activity book from her, as well as some others. Eutille, before we go, where can we find your book?
Well, they are available online, one Amazon.com, and one of the local bookstores that carries it here carries my books from time to time, books and office supplies.
Right.
And also,
and this is in TLH Mall, right?
Yes, you can contact me.
Yes, we'll share your information.
All right.
Yeah, very good. So listen, we're happy to have Eutille here with us. She just doesn't only publish books for herself, but she publishes books for other people under Eutille Publishing. So if you have a book and you need it published, Eutille is the person to call. We'll share her information, her email, her number, and so on. Check us on Facebook, on YouTube. You'll see this recording of the show as well. And what we want to tell you before we go is your story is important. Your story needs to be told if you're an author or a writer, because the literary arts happen in different formats. You could be a journalist, you could be a ghostwriter, you can be a memoir writer for people. You don't always have to be your own stories, right? You can help others tell their stories. You can be a publisher. So we want to tell you, cheers to you out there. As Eutille, I cheers to you for being here with us today on Book Club Corner. Thank you for being here with us. As we're tuning out, please know that every Wednesday we're here on Tobago Updates, talking to local authors, publishing industry stakeholders about the book. And we will be back here next week when we chat with none other than Elizabeth Lady Montano about her book, King of Suka. We're very happy to have her and we're looking forward to that. But as we go, cheers to you. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Happy hump day and take care of yourself. Be kind to each other. And we'll see you next week on Book Club Corner.